Hello, welcome to 70 Years, 70 Muppets, a Muppet Fam podcast presented by toughpigs.com. This is the podcast where we celebrate the Muppets' 70th anniversary with 70 straight weeks of spotlights on our favorite Muppet characters, from the most popular to the most obscure. I am this week's host, Drake Lucas, and the Muppet of the Week is Lips, originally performed by Steve Whitmire and currently performed by Peter Lintz, and designed by Michael Frith, making their world debut in 1980. I'm very pleased to welcome as my guest, puppeteer Chris Hayes. Thanks so much for joining me today to talk about Lips.
Cool. Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to talk about puppets all the time.
Well, I didn't just invite you because you're a puppeteer. You're a very specific puppeteer. You are the puppeteer of another horn-playing Muppet. So let's talk about the owl in the room, Hoots. You play Hoots.
Right. Yeah. I love Hoots. I grew up a fan of Hoots back in the day. And I was lucky enough to take over that character in 2019. So it's been a whirlwind. I remember as soon as I was cast as that character, they threw me into the deep water, and I was in front of Wynton Marsalis and, of course, my Muppet heroes who are currently on the show. And it's been it's been great ever since. It's really cool to every time he's in a script and I see him in a season, I get very excited, and especially if he's doing the songs. So
Absolutely. You do an amazing job. And
uh,
I'm so excited to see Hoots more. We are Hoots fans here as well.
yeah,
Yeah. Are you yourself a musician?
yes, I assumed that I was going to be a musician when I came out of college. I was like, oh, I'll just end up as a producer. I do a little bit of everything. I play a little bit of piano and stuff. I produce music. But yeah, I play saxophone. I played through college. Vibraphone, which is kind of like a xylophone. And I was pretty much certain I was going to be a musician when I got out of college. And then around the end of it, that's when I was like, well, I could always go back and puppeteer. I always loved that. So, and that's what I ended up doing for the past 20 years.
Well, little did you know that was all preparation.
Yeah, right. No, it's fantastic.
How do you approach the music for Hoots? Are you practicing ahead of time so that you're getting it right? Or you just know the music, so you take it as is? How do you approach that?
I'm very much by my ears in everything I do, the way I learn music and the way I enjoy music, obviously. But I like to get demos. So I usually get demos from whoever's doing the music that season or whatever show I'm on. And then I just listen to it nonstop until it's like deep in my bones. And if I get it the night before, then that's what I'm listening to all night. Because I just like to study stuff like that. And then it's just a matter of really being locked in. Sometimes I don't get that luxury of having the stuff and being able to study the music and really sit with it. Sometimes I just gotta feel it. And I've had musical directors walk up and be like, "Hey, man, by the way, this is gonna be crazy, so stand by." And I'm like,
Oh,
"All
wow.
right." Even on the past couple seasons, Sherman was like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna mess up your life, but in a fun way." And I was like, "Okay, cool, let's do it." But that's just the thing. That's what the jazz is. That's what the music is. It's just feeling everything around you and just going with the flow.
Well, it's kind of amazing you can also do that with a puppet because the improvisation is, might be
Oh,
one thing with an instrument versus with a puppet.
it's wild.
I I don't want this question to come off wrong, but what does it bring to have the puppet play the instrument? I mean, it's a lot of work. It seems like it adds more that could kind of go off, and there's great musicians anyway. So like, what do you think it adds?
There's something that people connect with when it feels like the puppets are creating the music. Even when they're just singing by themselves, people are like, "That's amazing," and
Mm.
we know that the puppeteer is many times sitting there singing through the puppet. It's the same thing with the instruments. They go, "This is a different level of amazement." Like, oh, they're this story of this puppet. He has this kind of discipline to learn this instrument, to master this instrument. So I'm watching this live furry character in front of me who has dedicated at least a portion of his life to learning an art, which is so cool. And on a personal level, I love it each time I get to do it, especially when I'm on Sesame, because I'm connected literally to like these great puppeteers. Because in order to do the saxophone with Hoots, I have to have another person in the other hand doing the
Mhm.
saxophone with me, sometimes in both hands. And the first time I did him on camera, Matt Vogel was my right hand. And I'm like, oh, I am so taken care of. I was like, feel so good. And then it was like Leslie Correa Rudolph did it the next time. And then Carmen Osborne has done it a bunch of times. And it's like, and I'm just Peter Lenz, who we're going to be talking about today. Um, and so every time I put that bird on, I do look around like, who do I get to work with today? Who's stuck in my right arm? And then I get to just pull everything from like, so it's such a cool thing to be like, this person is saddled with me. Oh, Tyler Bunch is on here. Ooh, I'm gonna ask him a ton of questions. So it's the best thing ever. It's the biggest excuse to get people to hang with you.
Pivoting from Sesame a little bit, why don't you tell me your history with the Muppet Show?
Oh my goodness. I absolutely love the Muppet Show and have for a long time. It's always been there, like puppets in general, but especially the Muppets have just been in my life for a long time. And it's just something that an art form that just those characters, I just can't get away from them. And like every time I see them, I'm like, wow. And even today, there's no I'm never jaded about the characters and then working on shows and I've done so with Jim Henson Company as well. And like we're just never jaded about the coolness of Kermit and Piggy and Fozzie and everything that has to do with those stories and those characters.
That's so nice to hear because I mean, I feel the same way, but I'm not around them all the time. Lips is an interesting character. He starts out in season five.
Hmm.
Basically, it seems like they want to give Steve Whitmire another a main character in the band. Basically, the only line I think that he's known for is in that Barnyard Boogie song. So he doesn't even he's got some solos, but he's not really talking or really necessarily developing this character. And then he's kind of in and out of the movies. He wasn't in the first one because he wasn't there yet. He was in Great Muppet Caper. And then he wasn't really in Muppets Take Manhattan. So he kind of ducked in and out. Do you remember the first time that you noticed lips?
I think it was Great Muppet Caper and Happiness Hotel. And that song is so good. I love all the music in that movie. That's like my secret favorite Muppet show, or maybe Muppet movie rather. But I remember that run where all these instruments going, and it's the saxophone, it's the trumpet, and I'm like, oh man, and then it's this guitar and it's just jumping all around. I'm like, that is quite the jam. And I remember I was like, oh, it's a trumpet player. That's the guy from the Muppets. So, and this is little me seeing this for the first time, like, oh wow. But yeah, so he's always been the a fixture. But I see what you're saying. I'm like, there have been times when you didn't really notice him. You're like, wait a minute, I don't is that guy in the band? Where is he? And so it's good to see him back officially now.
Yeah, yeah. He kind of had kind of weird in and out of it. I mean, I actually remember, so Muppet Family Christmas was a thing I watched all the time on repeat. And he gets smushed behind that door. And I was kind of like, who's that poncho wearing guy? He also gets oddly a prominent uh, placement in the pickup on the way to the farmhouse. I mean, of all the like characters to have, oddly, it's like he's sort of prominently displayed there. At the time, I don't know, Muppet Show was on reruns when I was little, so you could kind of see different parts of it, but it wasn't like you were watching it all. So I don't think I ever put together like, oh, season five, they added this guy.
Yeah,
That
right.
now is part of the band sometimes, but not always. Let's talk a little bit about Lipsa's style.
Mhm.
What do you think about the puppet itself?
I like the mech, and I'm not sure when the mech was added. I've seen the mech that just moves the eyes a little bit. That's
Mhm.
always an extra thing. Because honestly, these guys, and even us, obviously, especially the guys today, because the guys who are puppeteering today, they've watched, they soaked in from the masters. So like, there are moments when they can puppeteer for hours and not even need to do anything because they're just so good, and this which is great not to rely on a mech. But when you see the mech or anything like those cool, you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. And the trumpet is such a specific instrument as well because like at least with saxophone, the keys are against the body of the sax, so I can get away with a little bit more in having live hands. And with the trumpet, it's just those three valves going up and down. So you see those muppety fingers, and you're like, it's not as egregious as if you saw a big man hand up there doing this. These little muppet fingers, like, wow, that is something. So it's really cool to see so specific of an instrument like a trumpet.
he's got a very specific look. He's got like those sort of 70s tunic. The hair
He
is
pulls off the fro.
amazing.
I'm like, oh, he pulls out the fro. Okay.
He's got his eyes do not open except for two very memorable moments.
Hmm.
As you mentioned, the Happiness Hotel with
The
the
camera flash.
camera flash at the
Yeah,
ending, and then we'll get to a bit in Muppets Mayhem,
that's right.
the vision with the marshmallows, um, and then oddly, no lips, no lips on lips.
Hey, I didn't even think about that until you just said, I'm like, you're right. And it does not bother me.
No, it doesn't
I was like, I
really.
don't, yeah, I guess he doesn't. Oh man, I gotta write a letter now. It's one of those things that you don't even realize. You're like, oh yeah, Donald Duck doesn't have pants on, and now he has pants when he goes swimming. What? It's a very specific thing. But yeah, He doesn't have lips. But I mean, like that's the most important part of playing the trumpet.
I sent you a few clips. Are any of those ones that kind of stuck out to you from the early years, or anything that you noticed about them that kind of drew you in?
I watched not too long ago When I Call You Friend from the Muppet Show, and the thing that I think about most, like we talked about, he didn't talk a lot, and he's singing there. Um, and I only thought about it because I was like, man, if you don't get a lot of lines, you have this character, you're still trying to like figure him out. The easiest thing I think to do, for at least for me, is I try to figure out how he sings first, and then I work my way back. And so I was just watching. I was like, I wonder, is that's what's happening? Like, what is Steve doing when he's puppeteering sing along? Is he trying to using that moment to figure out the voice? Is he just like, I'm just gonna move the lips, man, and then they'll drown me out? Or like, I wish I can get to his head. But it was so nice to see that. And then obviously there's other musicians are popping up. But it's so cool to see him just like he's just like right up in front. And you're just like, well, what does this character sound like? What is this character? And it's very interesting to see what a super seasoned puppeteer does with a brand new character in that kind of sense.
Yeah, I was really struck too by how much personality comes through when he doesn't, I mean, he plays, but he doesn't really, you don't hear him
Yeah,
sing,
right.
but he's like bopping along and somehow it kind of comes through and I'm like, I think I know this guy. I think I've met this guy a few times. Whereas it's like the guy at the party doing like his own thing and he doesn't need to like get anything from anybody else. But if you ask him a question, he's gonna say, like
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
just
You're
sort of
like,
that
oh my
like
God.
chill guy that is like likable. And Melissa Manchester's interaction with him, where she's just like at the end, she's kind of drawn to him, well, drawn to the hair, which is just like
Of course, yeah.
beautiful and
Like,
flowy. But I did feel more than necessarily the other clips, even though he sings in Barnyard Boogie, really felt like in that particular Whenever I Call You Friend, he just came through without a lot of action and no talking.
it's a tight spot there, which is nice. They all just fit in and they take up the section they take. It's real cool. Yeah, but you're right. It's just something about him. You're like, I know that guy, and I'm sure it's even more true closer to that time period because you're like, I know that guy, and it's already the '80s. I can feel. I absolutely know that guy. It's only been a couple years, and I'm a big fan of. I love the band. I love all those like those old jam bandy bands. Um, Especially the band. So I can feel that character, those kind of characters. I've been to the Jerry Garcias and like all those. I used to
Yeah.
work security for a lot of those concerts when I was super young. So I'd be like,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I get this. Doing that kind of stuff is like it opens you up to experiences music. Of course, but then also seeing those kind of archetypes and those kind of characters that now when you see them other places, you're like, I actually get that.
So then Lips kind of wanders away. I mean, he comes back a little bit in the
Mhm.
2015 series. I think Steve Whitmire was really busy with other characters.
Eventually he's doing Kermit. And so I can understand being in charge. Like, then the Kermit is the center of the Muppets. Everyone is pulling and asking on him about, like, what do we want the shot? This guy's here, this guy's here. And so he's taking a more prominent role. So I can understand, he's still getting Rizzo, but after that, he's like, I may not get a chance to get to this character as much, or may not throw him in as much as possible because now I have, I have Rizzo, people are loving that, and then there's Kermit, so I can understand it, like losing a couple, three characters deep a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, Lips never really developed a voice.
Yeah.
Tried out one voice on the Barnyard Boogie, but he didn't, so just kind of went away, came back a little bit for the 2015 series, and then we get Muppets Mayhem.
Yes.
And Lips is just part of the gang. I mean, he's
He's
just
there.
there. Yeah. Peter Linz takes over the character. And he's got a little bit of a new style. He's now got that like 90210 beach poncho Luke Perry look going on. That might be a very specific reference, but,
No, no, I get that.
and he's got a voice.
Let me
He's
tell you.
a mumbler.
Yes, and I appreciate it. I'm a mumbler, and I've gotten a lot better. I'm still pretty bad, but I've gotten way better than I was 20 years ago. So I can appreciate it because there's sometimes you're like, I'm saying it's my brain is working really fast, and it's shooting out stuff from before my mouth catches up. So that's what you.
Peter's talked about being from Atlanta, and there was like a mechanic
Hmm.
he would call who would have this mumbly voice. So he was looking for a very specific mumble voice, but a lot comes through, not necessarily clear dialogue. Although oddly, one time he's like chrysanthemum, and you're like, really?
You're
That's
like,
that's
oh,
the word. That's the
he
one that
did,
came
he
that.
did.
And of course, people around him do understand him, and
Yeah.
somehow he's the most connected guy there is. And most of it appears to be through the phone, which is also a little bit hilarious because he's like on the phone. How would you even understand the guy?
So
So
I have a small one. I have a 2-year-old, 10-year-old, and 2-year-old, and there's something just like you get locked into like what they're trying to say early on, and you become that person. But like my kid will say something, and what did he say? He says he would like to play with the trains if that's okay with you. He said that. I'm like, yeah, I'm really locked into this kid. So I can imagine, especially all the activities that the Electric Mayhem do. They're like, we're really locked into hearing him.
yeah, the band is like the translator.
Yeah, like we get
It
we
seems like
get him.
Luke maybe understands him. Some of the other, like
Yeah,
all his
yeah, that's true.
special people that he knows, like, that are showing up, Paula Abdul or whatever, she
He's
she
like,
understands him
I
and
know
gets
what
him.
this is.
But yeah, it does seem like the band is the translator and they just get it. And then aside from just his voice, he also develops kind of a more clear personality, and he's got a couple really memorable moments. One is not the mushrooms. One is the marshmallows in the desert. They're not mushrooms, they're marshmallows. Pretty amazing.
I love it.
Expired marshmallows. I have to say, I don't know if I buy it. I've had marshmallows that are like years old, and I think I was
I
okay.
specifically, when I get a bag of marshmallows, I open them up and then I put them away so that they harden up. I like an old marshmallow.
Okay.
There's a good texture to it.
And because of the trip that you go on.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Then my eyes open up. I look into the sky.
He
I
has he
saved
has
the
a
world.
great trip. I mean, his is
This is
like
fantastic.
fall back on the desert floor, watch the entire universe open up, and it tells him he's gonna save the world.
They were like, that's what you do. I mean, I love. I mean, it's so cool what these guys doing with the characters, and they're students of the game. Peter Linz especially. I'm biased, of course, because he's an Atlanta guy, and also a mentor and trainer of myself for years and years. But they really do the way that they approach like making characters and bringing life to these characters and what they teach them. What they teach us, they really do put forward because you see them on the shows all the time. They're just bringing so much life and fun to these characters. And then shout out to the writers as well because they got great writers everywhere. So everyone's just like pitching in to make these characters like more than three dimensional, just like really just alive.
Yeah, I think the writing was great. And there's little touches too, like, answering the phone and saying "Mana mana." I mean, that's
Phenomenal, phenomenal. Yeah,
fantastic.
that's right. Uh,
there's a remix of Rockin' Robin uh that they do that's just like all these little nods to the original show that are a lot of fun if you're playing along. And the other part that really stuck out to me was the TED Talk because of all
that's
the
right.
people to do it. And I'm just like, who just came up? Like Lips is going to do a TED
It's
Talk
right.
and he's going to have a following.
I
It's
feel like
just
you gotta.
incredible.
My son does not know Rock and Roll All Night, well, the Kiss song. He thinks that's an Electric Mayhem song. And I'm not gonna correct him. I'm like, that's fine. I'm cool. I mean, I love Kiss, but I'm like, that's the cool thing to just let it go until he gets older.
I have
And
to say,
like,
I like Muppet covers often more
they're
than the
really good.
originals. Yeah.
That's kind of the basis of what they've done the entire time is just these amazing covers.
Yeah, and then him having a whole table full of speechwriters is, again, just
Yeah.
gold, gold, just beautiful. Are there other moments from the Electric Mayhem that kind of brought something new to the character?
Just the presence of him is so important because it's the brass and it's such a strong part of that sound.
Hmm.
Um, he's really, I mean, because the saxophone, obviously, you can think about the saxophones is the important part, but that horn is so prominent in a lot of the stuff they do, and it feels like that. I just feel, I mean, I can't imagine. Now that you're saying, that, I'm like, you're right. He did kind of disappear, which is crazy to think of him as being kind of like on the edge of being a member of the Electric Mayhem when you like, but the trumpets are such an important sound in that music, which is maybe it's too in the weeds. Maybe I'm thinking of too much as a real, but they do feel real because that music feels real and the LPs and their records and they're on my Spotify. So I'm just gonna say like his um his contribution to the music is important for that real Electric Mayhem sound.
Oh yeah, agreed. And I mean, I think you hit it. Like you do just think of them as musicians. So you're like,
Yeah, I'm
well,
like,
if Lips isn't there, well, where's the trumpet sound?
yeah, and I'm like, what? There was something that like I'm oh my God, my brain's going blank to who I attribute this to. But it's just like they talk about these puppets that go back to the beginning of like our time as people, and we just like we had these religious ceremonies and rituals where we would use figures and small dolls and that's kind of where puppetry branches off of. So and this may be too deep, but it's like there's something about those puppets that just it channels something that speaks to us, and it's because of what was originally the intent of bill for it and what it's been used for. And so like puppetry is almost like I should write a book on this. Someone already has one of the book, I'm sure, but like
Do it,
puppetry
write
as
your
as a
version.
it's puppetry as a ritual. It's like
Yeah.
this character is carrying all this with them, and one of the most important things and the strongest thing to carry with you is just like music. So there's just music and something you're like, oh man, this thing is powerful and weighty, even though it weighs nothing. And then the Muppet Workshop builds another one. They keep building the same one, so it's not the same one that was used, but it's just with this representation. You make it in this image, and it goes. It means so much. And when it does its music, it is insane. It's crazy.
I mean, maybe going back to the question of like, why have the puppets play the music? They're channeling something deep and innate in people. That's part
Yeah.
of our language as humans, as music. And maybe there is something to that where they're the ones that are creating it or translating it for us.
It's
So
an instrument with an instrument.
yeah.
It's like, whew. Man, we
Did we
solved.
take marshmallows? What
Well,
happened
this
there?
we've done old marshmallows. My eyes are open. I'm in the desert.
Amazing.
We're gonna save the world.
Yep. Agreed. We should. Well, it might need it. It's needs something. Do you have any upcoming projects you want to tell us about, or is there anywhere on social media that people can find you?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty much I'm on a bunch of different social media under the handle That's Chris Hayes. You're like, who is that? That's Chris Hayes. I'm on Instagram and Twitter and such. My Substack as well, which I'm working on now. Projects. I'm doing a comic book. It's taking a long time. I'm working on a comic book that I'm gonna pitching around like I'm pitching around TV shows. I'm just pitching around comic book too. And I just got through working with the Jim Henson Company on a movie that just came out. Naked Gun. Naked Gun. I got a chance to work with the fantastic Muppeteers there, and Z Briggs, who is inside of the character in question. I don't want to ruin it in case someone hasn't seen it, but if you see it, you see the character, you'll know exactly who it is. The great Z Briggs is in there, and I'm doing all the facial features. And we got to work with the Henson Company, which was really cool. And so
Amazing.
I'm happy they pulled me in for that. And I got a bunch of stuff coming up. There's some, hopefully more. Yeah, let's go.
Great. Well, thank you so much and have a good evening.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
70 Years, 70 Muppets is a Muppet Fan podcast presented by toughpigs.com. Hosted by a whole myriad of people and edited by them as well. Produced by Jared Fairclough. The Muppets 70 logo used with permission by the Muppet Studio with thanks to Danny Iglesias, Frank Reif Snyder and Lee Slaughter. Don't forget to follow toughpigs.com on all social media platforms. You can support us by heading to patreon.com/toughpigs or buying a t-shirt at tpublic.com/toughpigs.